Bat music.
He's not a bat, he's a man who fights crime. And we're gonna watch him fight for a minute at a time. With John and Niall and a guest who doesn't rhyme. It's Bat
Minute! Greetings, citizens of Gotham, and welcome to the first episode of Bat Minute Returns, the show that sprung forth from my loins, ready to take on the world. And yes, once again, we are here to investigate a Batman movie 1 minute at a time. I am one of your hosts, John Parker. Guess who's back in the house?
Yep, and I'm the other host, Niall McGowan. Slightly grossed out by that whole springing from your loins comment, but...
Oh, you know you love it.
There's like a wave of people just like, nah, this isn't the podcast for me. If that's the note they're starting on, it can only go down from here.
But, you know, also a wave of people going, I'm intrigued.
I like loins. That's my favorite part of the pig. Yeah, pig loin. Pig loin's a thing, right?
Every creature has a loin. Well, not every. That's actually a lie, but most mammals do. But hello, yes, this is minute 1 of Tim Burton's Batman Returns.
Yeah, we're back, baby.
We are back. And the minute starts with ominousness, and it ends with a monstrous birth.
It's kind of like it almost has a mission statement within the Warner Brothers crest there of like... You know, the first one was like, oh, it was pretty dark and it was pretty gothy and stuff. But this one, it's like we're adding in a church organ to make it even more goth and make it even more ominous.
It is. Like, people do say about this movie, love it or hate it. I mean, it's my favorite one. I've said this a million times. Some people don't like it. Okay. Everybody says, like, oh, it's dark. It's a darker movie. But I've heard Tim Burton himself say he doesn't see this movie as dark. Like, this isn't the dark one. He thinks the first one is darker. He thinks this one's more fun. And I kind of see what he means, because it is more silly. Like, it is less realistic, shall we say.
It's weird, like, having, like, we had a movie with the Joker, but this is the silly one. He was dead serious.
Well, I mean, Tim Burton did kind of present the Joker in it sort of a serious way. Serious for the time. Maybe. That's probably the best way of putting it. The most serious Joker to date.
Yeah. Well, not to date. I'll say to date would be the Heath Ledger
No, to
Joker.
date at the time.
Oh, at the time. Okay. All right.
God damn it.
Disregard.
Delete. So apparently, yeah, hang on a minute. We've already got sidetracked. What's going on? This is our MO, though. If you're just joining us, this is what we do.
Yeah. We'll say it's normally not this shambolic, but it pretty much is.
Plus, the first few minutes are always kind of tough. Although this movie starts with a bang. It really goes for it from the off, doesn't it?
Because like the last time, this was like, oh yeah, the first week was all like, oh, here's some just relentless opening credits. Enjoy your first show, guys. And this one's like, no. This action, we're going straight into stuff, stuff to talk about.
Somehow we still did hook in listeners with that first movie, so hopefully this is going to treble the listeners, right?
Well, in theory. Well, no, unless they're like major fans of Paul Rubens, and apparently I'm sure there are.
Oh
so,
God, yeah.
If you're the Paul Rubens brigade has shown up, then welcome to the show. I hope you'll stick around for these 3 minutes that he's in, and then you can leave. That's the end of him.
I do like Paul Rubens, although I will say that Pee-wee... Actually, we should really clarify this. Let me start at the beginning. I'll come to this in a minute. Delete this bit now.
Yeah.
Because obviously the movie starts, blah, blah, blah. We have a Warner Brothers logo. We've been through that last time. You're all bored of that now, I am sure. We won't go too much into the making of the film yet, because we're going to touch on that more with the opening credits, aren't we? Like where it brings up people's names. We can actually say, oh, they do this, they do that.
And just like all the pre-production stuff we'll pepper throughout, because like we'll wait for like minutes where like there's not much happening, but there's a load happening right at the top here. So it's like there's loads of other stuff to talk about. But yeah, even the from the off though, you get like the establishing shot of Cobblepot, Cobblepot Manor, Cobblepot Mansion,
Estate.
Wanna...
I don't know what you'd. Yeah.
And then you get introduced to the real star of all the Tim Burton movies from now on, the Danny Elfman, the choir he just seems to carry about in a backpack on his back.
He just unleashes it. He has an app that does it now.
It's just like this is in full force in this film, because it's like it was a little bit in like the descent into mystery track in the last one. And like when Batman was driving Vicky back to the Batcave, like he had a little hint of it there. And then Edward Scissorhands was like, "Oh my God, look what I can do! I can just go." Woo! So then straight off here, you get a little hint of the, and then just straight into. It's like, this is it. This is the Elfman aesthetic, and it's here to stay.
This whole movie is Burton and Elfman unleashed.
Oh,
It's just doing anything and everything they've ever wanted to do.
It's just because it's earlier. They didn't have, Johnny Depp and Helena Bonham Carter in it. But if it had been made later, they definitely would have been, if not playing Batman and Catwoman, then playing possibly like the Penguin's parents.
I was going to say they could have played the Cobblepots. That would have been a good little cameo. If he'd been in with them at this time, I would have liked that and accepted that, because it wouldn't overtake the film.
We see these gates though, and like they have these busts atop beside the gates, and I've been trying to figure out for ages what they are, because I can't quite make them out, because one of them looks like there's like a kind of cupid. It looks like two cupids kind of fighting is on the right hand side, and then the other side looks like, is it a baby fighting with like a giant squid or something? It's very strange.
I'll be honest, I couldn't figure it out either. I did briefly try and investigate and didn't find much information.
I just know that it's it's a model. Like that's all I got was like a guy. Look, oh, here's the guy making the model. I'm like, is he gonna tell us what's in it? No, he didn't.
I will say though, from minute one, like not to knock the last movie because it looked great, but the look of this film is superior. Like the models look better.
Oh yeah, there's no maybe we'll spot them later, but there's no like Batwing crashing into a set of Hot Wheels kind of aesthetic that was quite blatant in the last one. I'm like, look at this flaming wreckage outside, a model of the church, and look at these little toy cars that they've got laid out there.
Still better than I could have done.
Yeah, this is like the prop master like stealing his son's Scalextrics and just putting it in. Like, it's like, oh, it looks fine. Oh, Gotham has a big track down the street. So what? What city doesn't?
I actually found it interesting though that I knew this, but I just hadn't thought about it, that the Penguin has always had this name. Spoiler alert, by the way, the Penguin is here, Cobblepot. Because to me, it just sounds very Tim Burton. Like he would name his character that. So I think in the back of my mind, I just kind of always assume, oh yeah, Tim Burton just made that up and they kept it. But no, that makes no sense whatsoever. It's always been there.
Yeah, it's one of the few things about this Penguin that he didn't make up, or him and Daniel Waters. So obviously we'll talk about both of them much more later on. But like, yeah, a lot of their stuff is just like, this isn't. I think that's why a lot of like older kind of hardcore Batman comic fans don't like this movie because it's just like, this isn't the Penguin. And this isn't Catwoman. This is like you've just made up these other characters and then slapped on the Penguin and Catwoman names on top of them. And they have bits of them in there, but it's not the characters that we know from the books.
I can see why that would annoy people. But at the same time, what he's put in there is so good. It's so perfect and it so fits his style that you can't hate it. Come on.
Yeah. Well, I'd actually argue like the only... Like beyond like the fun, the Penguin's always a fun character and you see him and stuff. But like I think this is the only like Penguin character I was really compelled by. Like I'm like, ooh, I want to see more of him. When it's just like, oh, he's like an aristocratic, arms dealer, or he's like just a random thief, and it's just like, and he just has a bird motif. It's like, I kind of liked it when he was the weird malshapen circus freak guy. That was a lot more
Exactly.
fun.
In a way, that's even more comic book to me.
Yeah,
Like
totally.
the other penguin, he's kind of boring. I think. Like, he's a rich guy with an umbrella.
Yeah.
Okay, and a big nose. Like,
But anyway, this is all stuff. Will be loads of time to talk about. The
oh
penguin.
yeah, you're stuck with us now, listeners.
But that's the thing, though. I wonder if if you cast your mind back to the beginning, or like minute 3 or whatever it was of like the first movie, and there was a bit of like what seemed like misdirection. Because it was like, oh, here's a family coming out of a theater, and it's like they're lost in Gotham City. It's like, is this the Waynes? And then you find out, like, no, this is actually years after the Waynes have been murdered, and it just looks, it's a similar situation. But when you see, like, if you went into this one cold, and you just knew, like, oh, yeah, I know who the Penguin is, but I don't know that, like, Danny DeVito's playing him and stuff, and you saw this gate, and you're like, Cobblepot Manor, okay, whatever, and then you saw this guy in the window, and he's got the cigarette holder, and he's got the monocle, and he's just kind of standing in a very fancy suit, you might be inclined to be like, is this the Penguin? Is this like, have they just thrust him upon us already? And you find out it's like, no, it's kind of like a flip of the other way. It's like, no, this is years before the Penguin. This is what will turn out to be the Penguin's dad. So,
well, I know
if that was ever a thing they plotted out, or is it like, it's just a happy coincidence?
I think it's probably a happy coincidence. But you say about the Penguin's dad. Of course, I'm sure you know this as well, but it was originally supposed to be the original 60s Penguin.
Yeah, it's the Burgess Meredith.
Meredith. He was supposed to play this part, which would be great. But I suppose he probably would be a bit old to be doing that role at this point, and he was too ill, wasn't he, to make the shoot, unfortunately. So who did they get? Paul Rubens.
I believe Burgess Meredith was he was hospitalized at the time for crapping thunder. I believe
that's a very serious condition. I shouldn't.
Yeah, that's what you get for eating all that lightning, Burgess.
You should have known not to do it.
But yeah, we got here. Yeah, Paul Rubens, the guy obviously everyone will remember for being the Howie Hamburger dude in Nice Dreams.
Oh, of course, yes, his most famous role.
And then he was, of course, the spleen in Mystery Men. And I think he did some other part, too, that I don't know if anyone ever paid much attention to him for. But,
yes, he, of course, did play Pee Wee Herman.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Pee Wee was never really a big thing over here, I don't think, unless it was just me and my friends. Like, I've never actually seen it.
Well, that's the thing, yeah, because I don't even have the discussion online, like, during the week about, like, I think I've seen Pee Wee's Big Adventure once, and I was in my 20s when I did. And he just wasn't a presence over here. I knew Paul Rubens during the 90s more for that mugshot of him. Like that, I just knew like this guy's like a children's entertainer who was caught pleasuring himself in an adult theater. And he looked like a hardened criminal now, because he's got like the long hair, and he just looks like, oh, he could bend you in two. And then like you see Pee Wee Herman, and it's like, oh, that's not this guy at all.
Now that's kind of how I think first was introduced to him as well, being arrested. Yeah. Now let me just say, I'm going to defend him on this one because I don't get it. Right? Also in my lifetime, at least over here, we never really had adult movie theaters. I've never seen them like as a thing, as a concept. But if you're going to have them in your society and whatnot, what do you think people are doing in them? Like they're going to be, how do I put this PG? They're going to be touching themselves. They're going to be enjoying the film.
They're going to be making the most of what they're watching.
Yeah, yeah. Like you expect, like don't have the theater if you don't want people doing that. It's nobody's business what he was doing there.
It's an unfortunate tie-in though, because if that's what you're introduced to first, and then you see the character of Pee Wee Herman after, and it's like he's some kind of man-child in a suit that's too small for him, and he's hanging about with kids and stuff, and it's like, what is this guy? Like, this is very unsettling. I don't know about. So for that reason, like, I think you can get, like, in the Netflix in the UK, you can get like Pee Wee's Christmas special and stuff like that, and I've tried watching it, and it's just like, this is not for me. It's just not a...
Oh, is it not good? No?
It's just no. I just I get these. He's just going for like crazy, wacky children's humor. That's its whole. He's a children's character, but it's just it's not. And even like Pee-wee's Big Adventure is like it's perfectly fine film, but like it seems to be a real starting block. That's Tim Burton's first feature, so it's kind of like here's just a little. Here he is kind of with the training wheels on, and then you got like Beetlejuice, and then that's like this is what Tim Burton can actually do. Like this is him in full flight when he's able to do crazy, gothy, weird, ghosts and stuff like that. And it's like, now I get this guy.
Well,
this is much better.
I always hear that Pee-wee is kind of a little bit sort of twisted and edgy and subversive. But is it really? I don't know.
I mean, it is a bit, and just like, the be like innuendos and stuff in there. There'd be like jokes for adults as well. But I think like Pee-wee's Playhouse was flat out like it's a kid show. It's like it was a slightly edgier version of Sesame Street, basically. But then I've not watched a lot of it, so I can't speak to that really. Like it's one of those. I was just like, we should, of course, like as is tradition of. The first week of the Movies by Minutes thing, there's like, so the hosts just do the first week themselves, then you bring in the guests. We really could have used an American here to be like, oh, yes, I grew up with Pee Wee Herman. We might have one next week. Maybe they'll tell us about the...
Yeah, the first Yankee we get on, we're asking them.
But, although, John, and talking about Paul Rubens, are you ready for the first big It's All Connected of the season?
Are you ready?
Yeah, because here we go. Because this one, even when I saw this, was like, oh my god, it just keeps coming. Because Paul Rubens, Pee Wee Herman, he was, before he became Pee Wee Herman, he was, trying to make a name for himself, and he appeared on several episodes of a thing in America called The Gong Show.
Oh, I've heard of that. Isn't it? You get gonged off when you crap, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. And I know The Gong Show because the guy who created it and hosted it, Chuck Bass, he was the subject of the movie Confessions of a Dangerous Mind. He was played by Sam Rockwell. Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, for one thing, it was directed by and co-starred George Clooney, who would, of course, go on to be Batman later on down the line.
Everyone's favorite Batman, right? Right?
Oh, yeah, of course, the most beloved Batman of them all.
Yeah, he wasn't like phoning it in.
But it doesn't even stop there, because the movie also co-starred Drew Barrymore, who, of course, went on to be part of the duo Sugar and Spice in Batman Forever. And she played Sugar. The woman who played Spice was a woman called Debbie Mazar, who dated Paul Rubens throughout the 90s.
Holy crap. Niles strikes again.
There's
Hashtag everything's connected. Buy the t-shirt on our TeePublic.
Oh, we probably should. Like, we actually do have t-shirts for sale. We should have done a t-shirt about that.
I did.
Maybe we... Oh, do we?
It just says hashtag everything's connected.
Oh, right. Oh, we're going to get friggin' the Dirk Gently people landing on us. Like, it's a ton of bricks now.
I think it's all connected.
Oh, right. This is going to be... This is the practice for in court now. This is you like, I think you will find... You pulled up Vanilla Ice on them. This is like, what are you talking about? It's nothing like Under Pressure.
Yes.
But anyway, though, beyond that, Paul Rubens also, sort of before he was Pee Wee Herman, he was in a comedy troupe called The Groundlings, which is also where Phil Hartman comes from, the voice of Troy McClure and, Lionel Hudson, whatnot. The tragically late, great Phil Hartman, who... co-wrote and had a brief appearance in Pee-wee's Big Adventure. But you might also recall that Phil Hartman would appear in Jingle All the Way with one Arnold Schwarzenegger. And of course, that's Mr. Freeze in the same friggin' Batman movie that George Clooney's in.
Yes. Perfect. Can I just shock everyone as well? I like Jingle All the Way. Granted, it's crap. Right? It's a bad movie, sort of. But Christmas movies are all about being bad.
Oh yeah, there's very few genuinely good. I mean, we'll probably get into it again after our deception on the National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation days. Me and John guessed it, and we were just like, yeah, this movie's pretty good.
No, we didn't lie. We just didn't say we didn't like it.
We were just sort of at any point like, oh, so you guys like the movie, huh?
No, I think I would then subvert it by going, well, it was certainly interesting. I'd never seen it before. I'm glad I watched it. In fact, speaking of Christmas movies, we're in one.
Yeah, we are actually. Yeah, this is full blown Christmas. You always see this pop up now. It's been like, oh, things you forgot were Christmas movies, and around November when people are like looking to watch a Christmas movie that's not terrible.
To be honest, this is one I put on most years because yes, a Christmas movie that's not terrible. And it's funny that people forget because from the opening shot of this film, it establishes. I know this is a flashback, but it establishes that we're at Christmas time.
Well, the thing I want to note, because I thought it was a bit interesting, but it was something more from minute 2. Yeah, we do get the establishing shot of Tucker Cobblepot. It's apparently not. They don't call him that in IMDb, but elsewhere, apparently this is Tucker Cobblepot. So, and then we note that he's not got a Christmas tree in the room at the minute, but then in the next minute he does. So it must be like...
You've spoilt the movie. We have to just stop now. Come on.
This minute isn't set at Christmas. The rest of it, you could argue, is near enough.
Which is funny because the rest of the movie also takes place at Christmas years later.
Oh, yeah. No, this is all within... Much like the first Batman movie, which seemed to be span a couple of streets in Gotham. In fact, we have seen there's the Monarch Theater again and again and again. This one's a bit like, here's a bridge that we're going to see again, and here's like the city square. And here's the bridge again, and there's the city square. But the one of the things I've got here on Paul Rubens, I do know one. Beyond, we should get off the bat as well, saying that it's interesting that.
Wait, off the bat?
Yeah. We've made that joke like a million times in the first season as well. But, should note that he does actually he sort of reprise the role here by appearing as, what's his name, Elijah Van Dahl, who was the Penguin's father in Gotham, the TV show. But
which we have glowingly praised.
Yes. But Paul Rubens' own father, though, I discovered was a fella called Milton Rubenfield, which I thought was like,
what a name, yes.
And apparently he was a World War II pilot, and apparently he was actually one of the founding members of the Israeli Air Force during the Israeli War of Independence. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, he's got an entire. If you look at Paul Rubens, you'll get like a proper hot link to like his dad. His dad's like a big deal as well. So. There's a little tidbit that I consider. I didn't know who freaking Pee Wee Herman was a couple of years ago. Now I'm like, I know all about his dad now too. This is great.
You've gone in deep.
Yeah. So then we do get the establishing shot here of Tucker. John Tucker must die here. Looking at his insanely tall window. This friggin' mad, like, what is it? I wonder if this is this partially why they threw the kid out? It's like, this kid's he's too short. He's not gonna survive in a house this tall.
He won't be able to open the windows when we need him to.
Like, we were trying to genetically modify a child that will be 6, 7 feet, 8 feet tall. That's why we got all these friggin' massive roofs installed. We do then, he's standing, and we, hear a kind of a soul-tearing scream coming from behind him, and I guess we hear like a baby crying. So, and he sort of turns around with this look on his face of this partial. It doesn't seem to be even really worry. It seems like he's more annoyed. He's kind of like, what? This is unexpected and quite irritating. Like he has, you're getting a feel for this character already that he maybe isn't the nicest guy in the world.
He's a rich jerk. He's like, what is this commotion?
It's like, we're expecting the monocle to come popping out of his eye. And
highly unorthodox.
But yeah, so we're assuming that there's a woman in there. Presume it sounds like she's having a baby. But
it's an interesting way to start your film.
Yeah,
a painful labor.
Yeah, for sure. And it's like a sort of another indication of maybe not his character, at least like the world he's in. Because you'd think if you're someone was giving birth in your house, if this is your wife or, your girlfriend or whatever, you would want to be in the room with her.
Oh, no, not in the old days, though.
Yeah, he seems to be very much, I don't know if this is like a Blue Bloods kind of thing, or if he's just like, I just don't care about this.
I don't know, back in the old days, like, the man was never there. Like, if they were even present at all, they were very much out of the room. Like, usually they were just down the pub.
That's what they would be. Expecting that call in your future, John's like, laws and labor get down the pub. Come on, we're gonna...
Come on, guys, quick.
This is my last chance for a while. Yeah, so we got him, he starts sort of like walking down there. We do also note there's another sort of table, like, candelabra and whatnot on top of it. Looks like more cupids. Got a lot of cupid sort of stuff going on here in this business.
It does actually. I hadn't spotted that. Yeah.
And then we get this giant sort of triangular door. And then there's a nurse runs past, and I can't find anything on her. Like, she is, friggin' Napier hood and yellow coat got his own wiki page, but apparently this nurse does not even get any kind of a credit.
Nothing that I can see.
Yeah, but then it's followed by, in the credits is put down as the Penguin's doctor. I'm assuming this is this guy, because I don't think at any other point in the movie the Penguin encounters a doctor. So.
No, it's this guy, isn't it?
Yeah, it has to be this guy. And this guy's actually got quite an impressive IMDb list. He's like one of these weird, like, he's actually, because consider he says nothing. He is literally just a glorified extra. But he's like a fairly kind of, he's not a big actor, but it was a guy who did stuff, This fellow's called Stuart Lancaster.
Oh, right.
And apparently, I was very impressed to find out that he has 4 movies that have exclamation points in the title.
Yes!
One of my favorite things, because he was in Faster Pussycat, Kill, Kill, exclamation
that's
point.
a title, isn't it? I love it.
He's got another one called There She Blows, exclamation point.
Possibly better.
Yeah. Then one, Starlet.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's all right.
Okay.
And then my favorite one, Good Morning, ... And goodbye!
Yes! Oh my god, that's topped it. That's the ultimate.
Yeah, that should be like another podcast we should do. Just like find movies that have exclamation points in the title. Like just talk about how great they are. Just by having that.
Should we name this Bat Minute ... Returns?
Yeah, that's what they should have called this movie. Should have been just like Batman Returns. Well, then one of the other things he did was he played retired man in Edward Scissorhands just before this. So imagine it might have been like Tim Burton was wrapping up in that. And he's like, I need a guy to be a doctor. Hey, would you mind coming and because the guy obviously he's kind of in a lot of Russ Meyer stuff. He's in something called Mistress of the Apes. Super Vixen, and then Beneath the Valley of the Ultra Vixens.
Oh, I know Super Vixens. I don't know that one.
But he's in that kind of stuff. And I imagine Tim Burton, because he had a bit of a taste for the weird and the lurid. So he's probably knew who this guy was when he cast him in Edward Scissorhands. But even that would have been better if that was just like Edward Scissorhands. It's like look how it's great. Hey, the guy's got scissors for hands. Hey. And, but yeah, so it was a pretty impressive lineup. The weirdest thing, his weirdest credit that he's got is apparently he's in The Naked Gun, right? Yes. And what have got him down as is uncredited press conference toilet voiceover.
Oh my god, that's perfect.
And I imagine that has to be the bit where Frank Drebin has the mic on at the press conference. And he goes into the toilet, not remembering that the mic's on.
Oh, and he's having a pee.
Yeah, and he's having like a really long, extended, very graphic, sort of like overdone pee.
Like when you've been holding it for 4 hours.
Like all that. So that must, I would have assumed that was Leslie Nielsen doing that. But maybe it was this guy. And he's like,
I don't know, yeah.
The man was like, Leslie was just like, no, we didn't. A little bit, but maybe he doesn't groan as well as this guy or something. But that's such an odd thing because he's on all this stuff, and then like we don't have a proper like. How did he get that job in The Naked Gun? But they're like, we need an old like a guy in his 50s who can kind of groan and sounds a bit like Leslie Nielsen because Leslie Nielsen either didn't want to do it or they just decided to redo it later on and amp it up in some way. But
it's in his contract that he doesn't groan. So,
But yeah, that was a weird, the jewel in Stuart Lancaster's IMDb list. I felt, but as you can see, it's a pretty good IMDb list. I was surprised for literally he steps out as a little hanky, and then he sort of looks back, and that's his part. It's like,
yeah, I mean it's a good scene though because the doctor and the nurse, both of them, they leave the room and look shocked and appalled. So Papa Pot goes running in to see what's wrong and screams,
That's
What
the
could it be?
Chubbins. They should have called him Papa Pot. Oh, what the hell? you wasted it all. You wasted all this Tucker Cobblepot. What the hell is that?
Just pop a pot. That's what he's going to be from now on.
He's went on to his sire Pepper Potts from Iron Man.
Oh, that bloody name. That angers me. Pepper Potts.
Ah, come on. It's, back in the 60s. It's like, that's cute. That's fine. That's the
only
Lang
thing
stuff.
in making it acceptable to me.
It's the whole business of like, oh, we have Lois Lane, but what if Clark Kent had another girlfriend called Lana Lang? Like, really? Well, you just have a thing for L's because he's called Kal-El. Is that it? What the hell are you thinking?
Oh, yeah. Give me those L's, baby.
But I did have one thought, though, because again, like, the thing is, didn't grow up with Pee Wee Herman. Cannot do the voice. Like, I can kind of do that bit, but when he goes into the weird, the kind of weird deep voice he does on occasion, I can't do that at all. Like, the kind of, I think was it Just Lose It or whatever, the Eminem, he has him kind of going like can't do the voice. But would have loved like when Tucker Cobblepot runs into the door and you hear him roaring out in anguish. If it was the Pee Wee Herman, like,
oh my God, that would have been great. Yes. Why didn't he just do that? Because there was a period of time where he basically stayed in character as Pee Wee at all times.
But if you go into his IMDb, like, he has played Pee Wee on like loads of shows, like just as like one episode in the mid 80s before the movie was even out. He was just show up and like, I don't think it was the Golden Girls, but something like the Golden Girls. We'll just have Pee Wee Herman's here for an episode, and this character would show up. Which even because I don't get the character, I don't understand. Is he like an alien, or is he a man-child, or is he an actual child who's been played by a man?
He's basically American Mr. Bean.
Yeah. And it's like, well, but if he's a child and played by a man, how's he living in this magic house by himself, and how's he driving a car? And then, like, if he's showing up in other shows, are they treating him like he's a child? Or are they just baffled by this man who is acting like a child? I don't get the character at all.
It's weird. I'll give it that. It's weird. Someone do a Pee Wee minute, please, so we can get to the bottom of this.
I was discussing this, online during the week, and some people did put up like, oh, there should be like a Pee Wee's Big Adventure minute. And I guess I would happily guest on it just to be like, I don't get it. I do not get this.
What's the deal with Paul Rubens?
But yeah, we do get a little sort of transition into seeing Tucker and his wife, but we have plenty of time to talk about who she is.
I thought that shot reminded me of House of Cards. You're not meant to bring up House of Cards anymore, sorry. But it did remind me of that, where they're at the window, they're smoking and drinking and they're plotting. I know they're not plotting as such, but the wheels are in motion for something that's going to occur in a minute.
But it is a bit like, there's so much material related to House of Cards that it could come out with, but now it's like, nah. You can't even do a guilt-free Kevin Spacey impression. Like, no. So I was like, no.
I'm so upset with that because he was one of my favorite actors.
Yeah.
I still can't finish that previous season of House of Cards. I can't.
To be fair, I think I might give them a boost for this next season though, because people will be like, well, how are they going to get rid of him?
Yeah.
Is it just going to be like, oh, Frank, had to go back to his home planet in between seasons, or like what's it going to be?
Yeah, I mean, we do get, of course, that shot. They just look forlorn as the minute ends. But I just realised there was one thing I was going to say about the actress who is the Penguin's mum, Diane Salinger, because I just looked into her past, and she's previously been in Pee Wee's Big Adventure, and then she went on to act in some lots of great things, small roles, but loads of great stuff. She was in Deep Space Nine, Ghost World, Carnival, Salem, which I'm a fan of. She was also in the latest Pee Wee movie, the new Netflix one. And she also voices characters in the game Skyrim, The Elder Scrolls, which I'm a big fan of.
That stuff on. I was gonna wait until the next minute for all the stuff on her, but
well, you can go more into it in the next minute. You can expand on that. I'm sure you have more detail than me.
Oh, it's just a little tenuous links to things and whatnot.
Ooh, well, save it. That can pad out the next minute.
But yeah. Beyond that little transition shot into the two of them standing there, which we open the next minute with anyway. We get That's minute one. That's minute one of Batman Returns. Bit of a weird one to start on, But I'm going to let you people in a little, spoiler in case you're not seeing the movie. It's a pretty weird movie. So it's
It's a pretty great movie.
That's a real start as you mean to go on kind of thing, really. But in the best possible way, though. So, but yeah.
We have begun now, and the excitement has begun now. This movie is incredible, so stick around. So make sure to stay in touch with us on Facebook. You can just find us at Bat Minute on Facebook, or you can join the Bat Minute Listeners Cave. Is that what I called it? I can't even remember what we've rebranded it. I think that's the name. You can join us there and all the other fans of the show. You can send us a tweet at Bat Minute on Twitter. We're on Instagram and Tumblr as well. Just look us up on there. We'll chat to you on any platform. We're friendly people. And if you want to buy merchandise, we have T-shirts and mugs and all kinds of baby grows. We've sold a baby grow. If you want to buy these kinds of things, you can go to our TeePublic page. Just look us up on there. You can just put in Bat Minute again if you want. There's no trick to this stuff. There's a link on our Facebook as well. But, it would help us out a lot. Also, what would help us out is if you rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes. You knew that was coming. You're sick of that on your podcasts, but I'm going to hit it with you anyway. Hit you with it. Bloody hell. I'm messing up my words because in England, it's about 1,000 degrees at the moment for once. It's torturous. Join us again. We will be back on Wednesday with minute 2 of Bat Minute Returns.
Next time, a cat's in the cradle, while his prim progenitors are repulsed by the patter-pitter of tiny flippers. Will a malformed newborn at least win his first catfight cage match? Find out Wednesday, same Bat Pod.
Different Bat Minute.